Hello everyone, here is Professor Anil Jadhav. Today we are going to see the topic control using programmable logic controllers. That is what we can call it as a PLCs. This is unit number 5 and this unit is very important as far as exam point of view, and further your career is concerned also this bit is very important. So in the PLC we first of all know what is mean by the controller and why it is important. So in every automation there is a use of controlling action. Automation or PLC is related with the controlling actions. So controlling action is what the controller might be required to run a motor, to move an object from one place to another place, to turn a wall, or perhaps hitting applications in terms of making it on off. So if you talk about the mechanical objects, just like automatic drilling machine, here you can see there is a drill which is located on the workpiece. So in this controlling action is what placing that tool exactly above the workpiece where we are going to go for the drilling operation, placing the workpiece on the table, and again placing that table exactly making position with respect to the drilling. So for this making this arrangement we have to control some movements, just like say drill bit is moving from top to bottom, so we have to control it with the help of spindle. Again with the help of motor we can control the table on which we have located that workpiece. Again for fixing that workpiece we have to use the controlling action by the chuck. So this happens in the controlling mechanism in the automatic drilling machine. Again another example is there. If we want to control a conveyor which carrying the parts on it, suppose here we can say the part will be sensed by this sensor, and that sensor will give the input signal whether that part is correct or not, or whether it is following required dimension or not. So depending upon that this deflector will send that particular part into the deflected atoms, or it will go for the packaging section. So this is nothing but the automatic controlling conveyor system. So in these two example, use of microprocessor for the automation operation is very important. So this whatever we are talking about the PLC, so this PLC is nothing but actually it is a microprocessor, and in further slides we are going to see different elements in the PLC and how it helps to perform a operations by this microprocessor. Now we will see the programmable logic control. That is what the PLC, that is the heading of this chapter, PLC. You might have heard this word number of times. Following machine is using this PLC, that type PLC and all that. So PLC is what? PLC is a special form of microprocessor based controller that uses a programmable memory to store the instructions and to implement functions such as logic functions, sequencing operations, timing operations, counting and arithmetic operations in order to control machines and processes. So here you can see one PLC diagram in which the input is what the input elements to the PLC. PLC will take some input from this input section. Inputs may be like sensors which will give some data to the PLC. PLC will take that input data, it will feed into the program, that programs already stored into the PLC, and will go for the some operations, as I told you, that logic operation, sequence operation, timing or counting operation, and will go for processing on that, and you will get the desired output out of that PLC. So this is exactly happening in the PLC. So there are some characteristics of the PLC. First is it is rugged and designed to withstand vibrations, temperature, humidity and noise. Second thing is have interfacing of inputs and outputs already inside the controller. This is very important. Suppose you will take a computer, personal computer. So for this input and output interfacings or elements, they are connected externally, but in the PLC the input and output interfacing elements, they are already inside the controller. And third one is what are easily programmed. So this PLC work on the whatever the logical program we feed into the PLC or into the microprocessor. On that basis this PLC is going to work. So these are the some characteristics of the PLC. So when it is invented, so the first PLC was developed in 1969. So these are the some actual examples of the PLCs. First heading is Allen Bradley PLCs. So you can see the different images, and also below that cost is also mentioned. So it is moving so it is actually the costs in terms of 1000 rupees, depending upon the its vastness, how much operations it is going to be conduct by that particular PLC. So depending upon that, costs are varying. So below that Siemens PLCs are there. So some of the PLCs in the Siemens, they are the prices in the lakhs, in terms of lakhs. So these are the some top manufacturer in the PLCs. Now next bit is what PLC architecture. Now it is very important that to learn a PLC we have to learn its architecture first of all. So it consists of a central processing unit containing the system microprocessor, memory and input output security. So these are the key elements in the PLC architecture. Below that you might have looking the PLC architecture. So in that you can see the battery is there, user program RAM is there, CPU is there, which is interlinked with the clock, again system ROM, data RAM, input output unit, program panel. That panel is connected with input output system, and along with that output channels are connected. So you can see here there are different kind of buses. Address bus is there, control bus is there, data bus is there, and input output system is there. So we will see one by one out of this. So PLC architecture is what it is having a components like CPU, the buses, memory and input output channels. So out of this we will see CPU is what central processing unit. It is responsible for some of the operations, or it will contain some the elements like an arithmetic and logic unit, we can call it as ALU, and it is responsible for logic functions. The logic functions like AND function, OR function, NOR function, NOT function, NAND function, or XNOR function, that we are going to see ahead in this chapter. Then again CPU contains the memory. Memory is what it is responsible for storing the data or programs into the PLC, and that utilization of programs will be done by microprocessor, and it will give some kind of output. A control unit a control unit is what controlling action, responsible for controlling the timing of operation, and this timing is what it is supplied with the clock with a frequency of typically between 1 to 8 megahertz. So the clock is provided into CPU, it is based on the frequency, and that frequency is ranging from 1 to 8 megahertz, and depending upon that frequencies the CPU controls the actions in the PLC. Another element from the PLC architecture is buses. So you might have seen the buses in the diagram. So there are some functions of the buses. Whatever the data is passing in between the PLC, it will pass in terms of digital signals or electrical signals, and the signals passing through an element, that element is what buses. So the buses are a path used for communication within the PLC. The information is transmitted in a binary form, that is binary digit of 1 or 0. The word is a group of 8 bits. Example is there, total 8 bits are there. By combining these 8 bit in terms of 0 and 1, there will form a one word or one byte, and the formation or the transportation of this bus these words is taking place into the buses. So there are 4 types of the buses. First is the data bus, carries the data used in the processing carried out by the CPU. Another is what? Address bus. It is used to carry the addresses of memory locations. Every data stored into the RAM or ROM, it is having some kind of address. So carrying of this address is also very important. So that function is doing by this address bus. The control bus carries a signals which used by the CPU for control. This control bus special work for the controlling actions by the CPU. And last is what? The system bus. It is used for communication between the input output ports and input output unit. Next PLC architecture element is memory. The memory unit is used for storing the input, storing the program, and it is used by a microprocessor. Memory is very important for storing the program because that programs are supposed to be used by this microprocessor. So again, it is having 3 types of the memory. First is system read only memory. In short, we can call it as a ROM, to give permanent storage for a operating system and fixed data used by the CPU. It's just like our mobile ROM for performing some kind of operations, for installing basic or important applications, default applications by the mobile. Memory is required, and that is provided by this ROM. Another is what? Random access memory. In short, we can call it as a RAM. Whatever the programs we are making and we are storing into the PLC, it will be stored into this RAM. Another RAM is there, random access memory, for storing data like input output status, values of timer, counter, etc. Beyond the program storing, we have to store some input output values or input output status, which will get by the sensors or the output elements like solenoid or motors, that we have to store into the PLC. So that will be stored into this random access memory. So these are the 3 types of the memory. The program and the data in a RAM can be changed by the user. It's just like a CNC programs. We can change the programs as we want. We can make the changes, and that programs will act with the help of microprocessor. It will give the desired output. However, to prevent the loss of programs, when the power supply is switched off, a battery is used in the PLC for a period of time. As in the PLC architecture, we have seen the battery, first element is battery. So that is the function of battery, giving power supply to this RAM. And last element of the PLC architecture is what? Input output unit. The input output unit provides the interface between the system and the outside world. Outside world is what? The input devices such as sensors and output devices such as motor or solenoids. So that is what the outside world. So every input output point has a unique address used by CPU. So already I told you, every input output will be stored in RAM, and that RAM will have the address. So that address will be read by the CPU, and the further actions will be taken by the CPU. The input output channels provide isolation and signal conditioning functions. No need of data conversion. As you know, there may be data conversion like analog to digital or digital to analog. So this data conversion circularity is not required into the PLC. It is inbuilt into the PLC. So that is about the input output unit. Now next bit from this topic is what? Input output processing. So in this, whatever the input output we are calling inside the PLC, and we are making some actions on that. So how we collect the data at input zone and at output zone, that is again very important. So PLC is continuously running through its program and updating on input signal. Each such a loop is called a cycle. So in this again, two types are there for input output processing. First is continuous updating and another is mass input output copying. So in continuous updating, this involves the scanning of each input channel. This is the first step of the continuous updating. After that, the input data will be used by microprocessor for further programming action. This updating having delay of 3 microseconds to avoid a recounting of input channels. This 3 microsecond delay effect on the further processing and output execution. So in continuous updating, the scanning of input channel takes place. It will collect all the data from the input channels and it will be given to the microprocessor for further programming action. So but this takes system delay of 3 microsecond and this effect on the further programming action, execution of program and giving output signals to the output channel. So this 3 microsecond is a delay, and this is a point to highlight in the continuous updating, because that next thing we are going to see mass input output copying. So in that this 3 microsecond delay will be removed. Because why it is important? Suppose we are scanning several hundreds of input output points, this gives comparatively long delay in terms of this 3 microsecond delay. So what is the solution to overcome this? CPU scans each inputs and copies their status into their input output addresses in RAM. The input data is read and utilized when it is required and logic operations will be carried out. The output signals are stored in the reserved memory output section of RAM and will be passed to the output channels. So in that, why we call it as mass input output copying? So whatever the data we are getting from input section, we are copying it, we are using as per our requirement, and we are storing that output into the RAM, and we are passing that output signals to the output channel as per our requirement. So that is what mass input output copying. So this is the copying section. So sequence happening in this input output processing is what? Scan inputs and store in the RAM, again fetch that data, decode it and execute all the programs out of that, again copying that output into the RAM. So update again all the outputs and repeat all about the sequence in for further operations. So this is nothing but input output processing. Now next bit is what? Ladder diagrams. Now this is the heart of this PLC programming. So every PLC programming required ladder diagrams. Ladder diagram is what? It is actually taking the problem definitions from the user, and we can prepare one program out of that as a ladder diagram. That ladder diagram will be input to the PLC programming. Depending upon that ladder diagram, there will be a preparation of PLC program. That preparation of the PLC program will be fed to the machine code or machine language, and that machine language is what? In terms of binary codes 0 and 1, and that language will be read by the microprocessor and further actions will be taken in the system. So here you can see the one diagram in which first diagram, A diagram is what? It is indicating L1, L2. These are the lines, power lines, switch is there. This switch is normally open condition. There is no any contact between switch and the power lines, so the motor is in the off condition. If you pass the DC input into this, the switch will act as a contact between line 1 and the motor line, then this motor will goes on working or running. So like this is a physical system. So suppose we want to make a ladder diagram out of this. So there is a structure for the ladder diagram. L1 and L2 place the power rails or power lines, and always it is drawn vertically. In these two power lines, we supposed to draw another system, operation system, that we can call it as a rung. rung is nothing but pyre, and ladder is nothing but the ladder. In between one rung is what? One ek pyre. So this is nothing but the ladder diagram for this motor input output along with the switch. Now ladder diagram for multiple rungs and their execution. Here you can see a ladder diagram. In first rung there is input 1 and output A. Output A occurs when input 1 occurs. This is one kind of switch, input 1. Once it is right now in the open condition, normally open condition. If we press this switch, then it becomes normally closed and there will be a power supply to the output 1. So it means output A occurs when input 1 occurs. This is the first rung. In another rung there are two inputs, input 1 and input 3. It means to operate output B, we have to press, or we have to make this input 1 and input 3 in on condition. Then and then only we will have the output B. In a rung 4, again there are a input 4 and input 5. To operate input C, we have to either pass or press input 4 or input 5. Then and then only we will have the output C. And final rung is what? End of the program. So here you can see ladder symbols. This is the symbol you can see. A lad input as a contact. It is in normal open condition. It is in normal closed condition. This is symbol using for a output, and this is what special instructions we can use in the ladder diagram. So this bit is nothing but ladder diagram for multiple rungs and their execution. Now there are some sequences to be followed by a PLC as follows. First is scan the input associated with one rung of the ladder diagram. Here you can see these are the power rails, okay, which are shown vertically. In between, this is the first rung, this is second, this is third, and this is the fourth. So how it operates? First of all, it will scanning the first rung. It will solve the logic operations involving those inputs, set the output of the rung. So this is the complete task for the rung 1. Again microprocessor will move to the another rung 2. It will repeat operations 1, 2 and 3, and it will set output for that rung. Again it will move to the another rung. It will perform operation 1, 2, 3 and will set the output. Again it will move to the another rung. It will perform the operation 1, 2, 3 and it will set again output, and final rung is what? End of the program. So this is what exactly sequence taking place into the ladder diagram. So this was about the ladder diagrams and the basic of the ladder diagram. Thank you very much.